I might have to use the Elon Musk flamethrower to light the next joint. I've been through everything.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and Joe Rogan has lost the fight against Spotify on several old episodes that many of you told me, and I'm not saying you got it wrong, I'm saying somebody was putting this message out there, whether it was Alex or Joe, that they were just holding these back for a special 100, top 100 episodes. Whoever put that out either openly lied or was lied to, because now we know and we have confirmation that Spotify has blocked several episodes from Joe Rogan after Joe Rogan famously said the move to Spotify would not change anything about his show and he would remain in complete creative control. We've already seen in just the first week or two here another furious battle between Joe Rogan and Spotify over some comments he made about trans folks, where Spotify had over 10 internal meetings about whether or not to platform the episode. And I promise you that this is only the beginning, and Joe Rogan fans are going to be very upset when they see what many of us already knew about Spotify. Hey, if you're in the 40% of my viewers that aren't subscribed, I really hope today will be the day I earn your subscription. There's just a red subscribe button down below. Today alone, I covered Mulan. I covered the PlayStation 5 launch. I've got some hilarity around a show called Woke. I do 4 to 5 episodes every day, 6 days a week, grinding for all of you. And I hope that means you'll click subscribe now. And if you're already subscribed, click that like button. Now, this article came out of, thank you, by the way. Thank you for subscribing. Seriously, thank you. Spotify CEO defends keeping episode of Joe Rogan. Now, I'm not going to use these words because, look, the number one way to shut down any conversation is to label it with some of these phobic words, right? You're not allowed to make any comments about about trans folks without people calling you phobic. It's ridiculous. The trans folks that I know can absolutely handle adult conversations. So who exactly is the one trying to protect them from all criticism? Multiple sources inside Spotify describe an all-hands meeting, and Spotify CEO Daniel Ek discussed the company's handling of the controversial podcaster. In an all-hands-on-deck meeting Wednesday, Spotify CEO Daniel Ek defended keeping content from hugely popular podcaster Joe Rogan on the audio platform, who earlier this year signed an exclusive deal with the company, likely worth tens of millions of dollars. I thought it was $100 million. Some staff inside the company feel alienated by Spotify's hosting of certain Joe Rogan Experience episodes. According to copies of some of the questions presented to a meeting obtained by Motherboard, the news signals how Spotify, as it moves into the podcasting space, is beyond music, is facing content moderation decisions more commonly associated with social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter. Spotify has already removed JRE episodes with some right-wing figures, including Alex Jones and Gavin McInnes. Quote, in the case of Joe Rogan, a total of 10 episodes have been held with various groups or individuals to hear the respective contents. 10 meetings have been held. Some of them want Rogan removed because of things he said in the past. 3 sources provide Motherboard with some of the questions submitted to the town hall meeting. Motherboard granted them anonymity as they weren't authorized to speak to the press about internal Spotify issues, but they did it anyway, so it'll be funny when they get fired and then they're like, surprise, Pikachu face. This is such a ridiculous thing. Imagine the privilege. Imagine the privilege. Like, any of us who've worked Joe jobs or regular 9-to-5s in the past, let's say you're a machinist. I know many of my viewers are, or you're a truck driver, right? You're a truck driver and you go to your boss and you're like, I don't want to haul loads for this big client, probably the biggest client you have. because they said some things online I don't like. You'd be fired in an instant. One of the submitted questions was, many LGBTQIA+/ally Spotifyers feel unwelcome and alienated because of leadership's response in JRE conversations. What's your message to those employees? Another was, why has Spotify chosen to ignore Spectrum ERG's guidance about phobic content in the JRE catalog, referring to a group of Spotify workers who obsess over related issues? At the meeting, Eck also told employees not to leak the meeting, noting, if we can't have open confidential debates, we will have to move these discussions to closed doors. Others have concerns specifically over a recent episode, Eck said, and Joe Rogan and the episode in question have been reviewed extensively. The fact that we aren't changing our position doesn't mean we aren't listening. It just means we made a different judgment call. The specific episode of the Joe Rogan Experience was referring to one from July in which Rogan interviewed Abigail Schreier, one author of the book of the irreversible damage, the transgender craze seducing our daughters, according to the sources. From the opening moments of that podcast, Schreier associates youth with all sorts of spicy things and people being pressured into transitioning by YouTube and other things. Well, transgenders are absolutely a thing, but so are legitimate trans people. I mean, you can't have this conversation if you're going to shut. I mean, it's a legitimate conversation to have. At Spotify, we are strongly committed to the LGBTQ plus community and diversity in all forms, a Spotify spokesman told Motherboard. All employees are respected, and we believe that everyone has a right to be heard. We have a number of forums for open, transparent discussion, and we encourage rigorous debate on the topics across the company. All content on Spotify is subject to long-standing content guidelines. Our diverse team of experts reviewed the content in question and determined it did not meet the criteria for removal from the platform. Here's what I'm really concerned about. How could this not affect Joe Rogan's content going forward? I mean, unless he truly, I mean, he's got 100 million reasons to care. I don't know what was signed in the back, you know, what was in the contracts and things like that. But is Joe going to skirt topics like this? You know, much in the way that I have to skirt certain words here on YouTube, is he going to avoid entire topics because Spotify doesn't like it? I'm going to guess the probably yes. We're going to have to see if he backs it up. But this is the more concerning part. At the time of writing, the Schreier episode is on Spotify. The company has made content moderation decisions not to port other older JRE episodes of the platform. However, episodes 911, 1255, both of which feature Alex Jones, are not hosted on Spotify after they removed Alex Jones in 2018. They've also omitted content from Gavin McInnes and Chuck Johnson. I think Stefan Molyneux, Sargon of Akkad too. The Spotify catalog does include episodes featuring Stefan Molyneux, who was banned from YouTube earlier this year. I'm sure that will be gone soon. Joe Rogan have given people like this access to his gigantic audience, and Rogan rarely challenges his guests on their views. That's just patently false. Allowing them to launder their bad ideas on the show. I guess you must think every listener is an absolute idiot. Like, everybody who listens to Joe Rogan is completely brain dead and can't make their own decisions about things. In another recent episode, Rogan explained a joke he made in 2016 about Caitlyn Jenner's transition, describing Jenner as a he and using her dead name, Bruce. Rogan also mischaracterized the reason for Jenner's transition, saying it had been because she was around her daughters, Kylie Jenner and Kendall Jenner, and she describes them as crazy women. I mean, they are crazy. They are. In recent days, Donald Trump has said he's willing to go on JRE to debate Joe Biden. Wednesday, Trump sent an email to his supporters in which he asked them to sign a petition to demand Joe Biden come out of his basement and agree to a 4-hour live stream with President Trump on Rogan. Look, Trump should go on there anyway. I mean, if Joe would have him. Joe Rogan announced his move to Spotify in May. The JRE debuts on Spotify on September 1st and will become exclusively available on the platform later this year, according to a statement. Now, I hope Joe really reconsiders this exclusivity. The idea, though, is, I mean, the sad reality is $100 million. I mean, that's a lot of dimp. That's a lot of money. That's securing all of the families of everybody who's been on his show forever. That's securing generations of his family. I don't know you know, it's easy for us to sit here and say that he should just push back against it, but $100 million is a lot of money to put on the line. Maybe he could find other ways to have like a GRE uncensored podcast on a different platform or something like that. I want to see Joe at minimum, though. At minimum, Joe has to come out and talk about this. I mean, when you have, as this article reports, Spotify's wrestling with employees' concerns of the company handling Joe Rogan. Spotify is facing a heated internal struggle with employees over whether it should host episodes of the JRE. I mean, this is going to keep happening. And Joe promised us essentially that his show wasn't going to change and that he was going to maintain creative control over it. Now, maybe it won't. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I am concerned where this rumor started about, well, they're just holding it for the top 100 episodes of YouTube, because clearly Joe knew that wasn't the case. I think Alex said that, but who told him that? Did Joe tell him that? Did some PR person tell him that? Obviously somebody's lying here, and that's unfortunate. Clearly Joe Rogan really has the best of both worlds right now because his clips are way more popular than his entire show on YouTube. So he's still porting his clips over to YouTube. He's got his Spotify money. He's got his Spotify subscribers. He's got his, you know, and I think he's got a huge platform in which I really hope at minimum he hosts this debate between Trump and Biden. That sure would be a spicy meatball. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm looking forward to hearing what you think Joe should do down in the comment section down below. And again, if you haven't already subscribed, there's a red button down right below. Please consider clicking that now. It helps support the channel. It's entirely free and it makes finding my videos a ton easier. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.